Don Mazzello here again for Small Business Digest. We have with us Jason Kocina today. He's he's going to talk about two things that I'm very interested in: why Skype is no longer with us, and more importantly, he's going to give us some insight, hopefully, on where things are in the digital world. So, Jason, welcome to the program.
Well, thanks for having me.
Jason, our first question to
Yep.
everybody though is give us a little bit about your personal background and what you're. And the second one is what you're doing now, and the
Okay.
third question is a website so people can learn more.
Oh, sure. So personal background, um, in the 90s, when I was going to school for engineering, um, I kind of fizzled out of it because I wasn't producing things as fast. And really the thing what happened was the internet came around. So I got excited about the internet early 90s, and I've been working in the internet ever since. So that's kind of where I took my science and technical thinking and just going, I've never seen such a big change with that happened with the internet. Um, so I work with marketing directors and business owners to help them use the internet. Our company does a ton of PR and advertising and those types of channels as well. Um, so I cut my teeth working with companies like Cargill and larger companies working with their marketing directors, learning how it works. I've taken a lot of those pieces and kind of streamlined products for small businesses, specifically on the internet. That's our best in market product line where we're trying to find, like if you want to be the best whatever it is, tree trimmer, or we take a look at the specific market that you're targeting, what comes up number one in search there, what are they doing, how often are they posting on social channels, and try to kind of give you a landscape of what's happening out there. Let's see, what was the third? What's the
Third
third?
one is your website.
Website is publicity.com. So um,
It's,
we, our company, over the years, we kind of grew on we used to have a model, we still do, a performance-based PR model where customers would give us the money, put it on account, and then we would go out there and pitch. And if it was the Today Show, then it would be a larger, cost to get the Today Show. With traditional pitching and PR, it's not like buying ads, right?
Mhm.
But it certainly has that air of uh, trust. You get trust from a third party endorsement, that type of thing. So earned media is where we grew. And then I always had the digital arm. So when internet came up, started building websites, started doing social media, started doing email marketing. Um, it seems like the industry is where it went, where we had like four channels in the past, four basic, not four channels, but big channels, like I said, mentioned, the Today Show was something that was big, or whatever the national TV shows were. But now it's much more segmented, so you can get right down to the tiniest sliver. There's a million people posting content, so it certainly changed the way PR works and that type of thing. Our domain name, publicity. Did I say that? Publicity.com. That's a publicity.com is our website. So
Oh, really?
we got in we got into the domain name stuff early. I remember sending faxes out at the time. Okay, this is going to date me a little bit, but that was one of our channels was a mass faxing and telling people to get domain names. And
Hmm.
people said, "What are you talking about? Leave me alone," But um, publicity.com is certainly one of those ones that we got for ourselves. So good domain name, speaks to what we do. So now we're not just earned media, getting people placements. We're also helping them work with smaller media channels, do advertising, website, search engine optimization. Now AI is floating into it. So a lot of work with. That's kind of set a fire under us, from a marketing perspective. If people are thinking that they can just type into a machine and it's going to do their marketing for them, so where is it going for my industry? But we can chat about that down the road too. But
Well, let's go to me one of the most interesting things. Why do you think Skype failed?
Skype failed. Yeah, that is. If you're like me, I'm driving to work. I don't know how it's been a few weeks now, but I'm driving to work and I hear that it closed. It's like everyone's working from home. Why in the world would this brand go away? So So it just shocked me a little bit. That's what really incited me to focus on this article and talk about it. Some of it could be Microsoft purchased them, and they're kind of mirroring Google, where Google's got their suite with Zoom, or not. I'm sorry, not Zoom, but Meet and Google Docs and all that. So Microsoft kind of just let it go. They stopped talking about it. They stopped marketing it. Main thing is when you're getting into these situations where the market seems unstable or people aren't sure, a fair number of people pull back on their marketing budgets. So I was just saying, you got to keep telling your story. you know,
Hmm.
uh, I think you told me we're just going to keep going, let everyone else figure it out, keep going. And I certainly have that same approach to the thing.
But a lot of people just use Skype. I mean, they have what, millions of users, and why would you let that audience go?
That's a question for Microsoft. I mean, Microsoft purchased them back in 2011, so um, I really think it's a good example, though. If you stop telling your story, you stop getting out there, people are going to go to something else. Um, there's always a hole in your bucket, as good as even if you're the best servicing of your customers out there, there's still a hole in your bucket. You need to add new customers in. So when you're not out there telling your story, getting found, people are looking elsewhere. So
Well, as I said before the show, we just had a focus group of small business people. We do them periodically. And the interesting thing is, to a man or a woman, they were all ignoring the president's tariff or everything else and focusing down on the fact that each of them in their different industries had to keep going. They hadn't cut their marketing budget. They hadn't cut the whatever any of the budget. They were clearly watching the sales. But where do you think things are going now?
specific to marketing, what's
Oh,
happening out there? Everything.
let's start with marketing because the digital starts with there.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I certainly think like when this article was up, it was like it was during trade and things, and people were, the stock market goes down, and people start to fear things. I think what's happening now too, almost more than that, is AI. How is AI gonna pan out? How is this gonna work for my industry? What am I doing today to be found? Some things that we're seeing are customers that are always ranking very well. We're doing search engine optimization, and their rankings in the top 10 for thousands of keywords. Their organic traffic's going down. So that's a change that's happening. Even though they're ranked well, I think it has to do with the AI incorporated into the results for Google. Gemini's AI right at the top of your Google results are now pulling that data. It may be doing things like pulling out the people looking for just information, or the non-shoppers, but still you're feeling a drop in traffic and people are asking questions.
Well,
To
Google says its traffic dropped about 25% in this last. But but to me, the real question about I mean, I just saw today in an article where some company said it anticipated dropping half of its sales force over the next 5 years because of AI. But I'm sitting here saying, how do you replace a human being with a machine? I mean, I'm old fashioned enough.
yeah, I think there's definitely like there is interpretation of what it can do, and then there's what it can really do. And I think that a lot of times people see these beautiful videos being produced, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, it's going to replace everything." But I would urge you to go try it. Try to make a beautiful video with AI. And what I think it is right now, and I'm kind of banking on it to some extent, is it's providing people that understand a particular industry a tool that they can use. So if you know how to produce videos, the AI tools are going to help you, you know. But if you don't, you're not going to be able to jump in there and do it. So I don't know on that. Where I see it working the most is business owners don't have a lot of time. It's a great tool to help them get organized and request work. But there's still a value. Like even content producing, I wrote something recently. It's like, don't use AI to write your marketing letters, but use it so that you're still can save time to get all your points in order. To write a nice request for an article to be written. And that's kind of how I'm seeing it now, where it's helping marketing directors, business owners put together a list of tasks to do, but someone's still got to do it.
Mm.
So where is it going? I don't know. I am not at that point where I see it replacing the workforce. I'm with you. Maybe I'm just the old school too, where it's like,
But
sure,
can
you can
you,
have it give you all sorts of
but,
bulleted lists.
but can I, but where I saw another one the other day was someone said you use AI to shift through your sales for the last 20 years and determine right down to almost the block or the individual who will buy your product. And it could do what you can't do, which is look at every single order and come up with an answer. But I
Yep.
don't know.
I think there's a lot of value to that. Like if you use a product like HubSpot, you can integrate it right into ChatGPT and then have it like you're doing that type of analysis. And I think it's good for those tools. Again, if you have some understanding in the market, in the industry or whatever you're working in, you'll be able to spot like I don't trust ChatGPT if there's errors in it, or you know what I mean. I don't trust it to be perfect. That's for sure.
Well, I have to tell you that this one that I heard 3 months ago. It used to be in the toy industry that you never had a green toy. You never did a green toy. That was a mantra. Well, long story how I know that. But it was a mantra. And if you look, toys aren't green.
Yeah.
Um, you didn't think about that, huh?
I
Anyway,
can't make. I don't. I'm trying to figure out why they're not green.
well, but somebody at Mattel, no, not Mattel, the other big one,
Hasbro or
yeah, Hasbro, did a study using AI. And what did
really?
AI come back and say? Green is the least favorite toy for purchase, the least favorite color. So you never know.
Well, I remember I had GI Joe back in the day. That was before AI, I suppose.
Well, no, but again, that's camouflage. But that's
Yep. Yeah. That's
um,
interesting. I think there are definitely some tools like that. We so much of what our focus on right now is on how to get into it. So I don't think that I'm that far like an innovator. Like I'm definitely above the curve. I'm not a laggard. I'm using the tools. I'm a heavy user of the tools. And that number that you said for Google is a big indicator. Like I no longer use Google. A lot of people think I'm like in the past think I'm smart because I know how to search on Google and find answers, but it's no longer my first go-to. ChatGPT or something like that is. Um, ChatGPT recently, so like things on that, you'd want to make sure that you're not blocking those uh, robots that scan sites so that you're getting in there. Traditional media, podcasts, getting source from other places. We do these visibility studies where we take our clients and their competitors and see how visible they are when people are typing in the AI channels, and it'll show us do they even know they exist when you ask a question? Or if you ask a specific question, how are you ranking? And then it shows us what sources they're using to get pulled into the AI. And that's where we connect it back to um, a lot of traditional media, or obviously your website needs to be indexed in a way that is clean, but it's not that different from search engines. E-commerce stuff, you want to make sure that you got your structured, I might be talking too technical now, but your structured data on your products so that that's what it uses to get in there. And then just like Google Shopping, ChatGPT is coming out with a feed so you can feed your e-commerce products into ChatGPT. Because a lot of people are going to start using it for shopping and help me determine, or they'll create their evokes that like, here's the two brands of dishwasher I want to buy, right? And then have ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini or whatever the tools that they're using help them determine which one I should buy. Um, so it's a new place to be found.
Well, let's go back to something you said, which I think is very important. You talked about structuring your product, and
Yeah.
because up until about 6 months ago, I hadn't even thought about that. I'll tell you that. But can you explain to our audience how that works and why it's so important?
Yeah, so structured data or structured snippets you might hear people talking about. It's like if there's product reviews, if there's product sizes, all the additional detail about your products are stored in scripting. And that's what these engines use to index your site and look over things. So they're even more important now with the AI tool sets. How do you implement it? You know, if you're using a Shopify or WordPress for your store, um, we use products like Yoast, and it just automatically adds it on there for you. So it's all set up in structured data, it's called. Um, it just provides all the computers that are scanning your site more details in a format that they are used to.
Hmm.
So does that make sense?
Yes,
Yeah.
but a robot comes on your site and is going through it, and does like come out of storage and says, "Oh, we also are good at widgets or whatever."
Yeah. Well, it does it. Yeah, how do you get those messages in there? That part of that is by continuing like setting up a content plan, first defining your messages, right? That you want
Uh-huh.
that these systems to pick up, and then setting up a content plan so that you're posting it to multiple channels. I would say, like I mentioned, getting in traditional media is a good way. I work with several coin sites too, and we're finding that AI is reading paid sources, paid media sources. So those are another one. You know, like if you ever see a top 10 list on money.com or something, it's oftentimes a um, paid placement. But those are getting sourced by ChatGPT as this is how they know about this company, and this is why they know they're the top 10. So there's paid options that are available too to get that message out there. But the idea is make sure your site's saying it, and then get it on other places. Reviews
Well,
are good too. Get that review loop going. So say I don't know why I keep going to tree trimmers. I used to trim trees 30 years ago. But when they do a project, have a final process in your kind of whole sales process that when the client is happy, send them a link to make a review on Google. Um, if there's one piece of technical piece, for if you have a local market that you're targeting, those Google business listing, it's got to be the most. I put it right at the top of the list to make sure you're doing. If you're targeting locally,
right.
if you're targeting like we have two product lines when it comes to this. One is best, we call it best in market, where we just kind of do an analysis of a specific market, meaning you're a tree trimmer and you work in southern metro of this city, right? Or these are the cities you target. Um, that local business listing defines your service area. And then that'll make you come up higher within that service area in general search too. So that business listing is very important. I'm probably off topic a little bit there, but
No,
uh,
no. You bring up a point. Do you ever do the authors?
authors is in.
Book authors.
Oh, do I work with book authors?
Yes.
Sure, yeah, we work with book authors. Book authors are always good. So I would say that about 50% is digital work that we do and 50% is PR work. And if you want to get a picked up by a media outlet, having a book gives you credibility, and it works well with our tool set to have a
Mm.
book when we're doing that. So we definitely do work with those. I would say typically the books would be more of a you want to be found nationwide, right? Not necessarily
Yeah.
the local
Well,
wide deal, but yeah, we definitely um and then put together a content plan. I mean, we have a book, The CEO's Guide to Marketing, that we write, and a lot of it's just for training our staff so that we can communicate with each other, and it defines our processes as far as getting that communication plan defined, getting your target markets, what's your target or what's your market segmentation strategy. Let's define your brands or your product lines, and then the messaging for each of them. All those pieces make it so that it's easier for a business owner to hand it to someone else to help them do it, so they don't have to do everything. I think that's something that they struggle with, is they have it all in their head. They know who the company is, but is it written down in a way that can be repeated? And oftentimes when we talk about marketing, it's like, it's not a flat message where you write it on a piece of paper and it gets decoded by your customer the same way that you said it. Like, what did you can define what you said, but can you define what they heard? So it's a process to making sure that you're getting that messaging right, so that they're decoding your message in a way that still leaves them with the message you want them to have about your company. So
what we found, what we found is a lot of small business owners don't know what their business is. They're successful, but really, as almost as a byproduct.
what I see, the biggest mistake I see is they think that their product's for everybody. My product works for everybody. It's the best out there, but they might only be working in a service area. That's one way to define your market. Well, no, you only service this area, or, but that's why that decoding part, it all kind of ties to it. Like, defining who you're targeting for that messaging is better than just saying it works. Works for everybody. Well, no, it probably doesn't. Let's think about it some more, because in today's marketing, it's very segmented. There's thousands of different, millions of channels that people can use, and if you define who that person is better, you'll have better results from your marketing.
Yes.
So that's my number one mistake I see business owners. They just think it's the best product for everybody, whereas I think that let's think about it some and get it defined more, because it's going to make it picking channels to use so much easier, defining that message so much easier, all those pieces.
Well, let me throw one out at you, which came up yesterday. The market for plant-based foods has
Okay.
has shifted, and if anything, the actual volume of plant-based is actually down this year than last year, because no one seems to know why.
I'm going to look into that. So plant-based is down. Doesn't make sense. It seems like it should be, if anything, going up.
Yes.
You're saying compared to meat-based, or right?
Oh, okay, yes, as a percentage of the marketplace. But for instance, in the fancy food show that comes up in a week and a half, the number of uh, exhibitors in the plant-based field is down from the last 2 years.
I'm going to talk with that's just interesting to me. I would say 50% of our business is from nutraceutical companies and that type of work, where we're doing, whether it's a fiber supplement or what are some of the other ones? I can't even, lycopene, or so many that we work with, that someone here would have some insight for that. It just, you got my mind turning on it. I'm like, why would that be? It doesn't make sense.
Doesn't make, again, could be wrong, but I just saw the figure. What got me started is I always go to the fancy food show, and I happen to be talking to the one of the people at the show, and she said the number of exhibitors of plant-based is down. Now, it could be because of consolidation in the industry, but you turn around and there's always somebody coming up with something new.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to, because I wonder, it could be some production, could tie into where we started this whole thing. I look at it like Israel was a source for our tomato extracts. That a lot of external companies come to us because they want to target the US market, whether it be plums from Australia. They have an extract from plums that they're using. or it's like I said, tomato extract from Israel, or honey extract from Israel, or how I could. I'm just trying to think of all a fiber, a soluble fiber supplement out of Japan. So I wonder if I don't know. I'm just throwing. Now I'm just guessing or speculating, but I'll have to think about that one.
Mhm.
That's because it does run contrary to what I would think would be where
And
the
I've been wrong in my life before in my life too. But like I said, what I was based on was two factors. There was a Wall Street Journal article about one of the big companies that's now third. I can't believe it's meat or whatever.
yeah,
They had a big article about the fact that it had slipped to number three in the industry. Um, and because before that's the only thing you ever saw was that brand. Well, personally, I can't. I don't know about you, but there's just too much. They throw too much seasoning into to mask the taste for
yeah,
me.
yeah.
But
It's like
we
an Outback versus a high-end steakhouse or something.
uh,
I mean, Outback's great too. I like
give me a steak anytime.
it.
We have just a couple of minutes left.
Sure.
What would you like to talk about or and talk to our audience about?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it would be number one is visibility is survival. Get out there, stay out there. Even especially when the market is in turmoil. I think it provides a lot of opportunities. And I do agree with you. Like small business owners are just going heads down one way or another. We're still moving. So keep that going. Be cognizant of new channels and how they may affect you, whether it's AI or some of these other ones. Um, Understand your messaging. Think about it. Do a competitive analysis. Look at what your competitors are doing. I always say marketing is played with your cards face out, so everyone can see what you're doing. What other advertising channels are there? What keyword possibilities are out there? That's something we provide for our prospects. A competitive analysis, just a little one, just seeing, are you visible in AI, and um, how many posts are being made on Facebook, and what are the types of content that you're putting out. So I think get a handle on that. If you have your messaging down first, it'll be easier to either hire within or bring someone on to help you do marketing. If you have that just the basics of marketing defined for you, who's that target market, what do you want them to walk away and telling their friends about your company. The marketing basics are still important, and I think that's something that's solid, no matter, because technology and all these channels are always going to change. But I still think understanding human nature and your marketing message and who your targets are is important.
Better than your website again for our audience?
Publicity.com.
Okay, that's
Oh.
now that's a great one.
Was I telling you about that mass faxing? Was that back in the day? That was one of the channels that we used, was mass faxing. And it was just like, get your domain name today, we told them. They laughed in our face. Well, we got publicity.com at least. That's the company's media relations agency, and the domain name is publicity.com. So, and we do digital marketing and PR and advertising. We do a fair amount of stuff for small businesses too. So um, I love working with manufacturers. It's one of my favorite groups to work with. Typically a good sized company, but they need help on their back office, so we often step in and help them keep all those things moving, and help them with all the different technologies that are out there, as far even down to tracking. Um, and instead of stopping marketing, reevaluate what you're doing. Have someone take a look at it. I think that's a good practice to go through if you're concerned about the bottom line and that thing. Don't
On
be the
that
great.
note, on that note, Jason, we have to
All
say
right.
goodbye. But thank
All
you
right.
for a very, very enjoyable half hour.
Good.
Thank you.
Good. Well, thank you so much.